We have an exclusive interview for you right now with the top infectious disease specialist in our nation, Dr. Anthony Fauci, joining us live from Bethesda, Maryland. Dr. Fauci, thank you so much for being here. We're going to launch right into this because so many people want to get, quote unquote, back to normal. When we talk about a vaccine, once we finally have one, how long will we even be covered by that vaccine?
Well, you know, it's difficult to predict how long you will have coverage and protection, but we certainly know that you'll have it for a reasonable period of time that will get us, hopefully, through this cycle of this pandemic. If, in fact, the protection from the vaccine begins to wane, you could always get a booster shot. The first important goal is getting a vaccine that you know is safe and effective. And the trials, as you probably know, have already begun. 2 of them in the United States began last week, and there'll be more trials as we get into the late summer and early fall.
One of the companies that's doing stage 3 clinical trials right now is Moderna, a company out of Massachusetts. They were seeking volunteers here in the Las Vegas Valley, and 30,000 people signed up to be volunteers for this, but there are early signs that the vaccine being developed by Moderna is going to work.
Well, again, you never know if a vaccine is going to work unless you test it. And that's what the phase 3 trial is about with the 30,000 individuals. I can say that's a phase 3. You have to go through phase 1 and phase 2, which has been done with this vaccine. And the reason we're cautiously optimistic that it will work is that the response that was received in the phase 1 trial gave really robust, good responses in the volunteers that were very comparable to, if not a little bit better than what you get with natural infection, in the sense of people who've recovered from natural infection because they made a good immune response. The immune response to the vaccine in the phase 1 trial was quite comparable to that and even a little bit better. So although there's no guarantee, that makes us cautiously optimistic that when we get through with this trial, that we will be able to prove that this is safe and effective.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, you are live in Las Vegas right now, so I would like to get the over-under on when we're going to be able to get in our new Allegiant Stadium. It's this brand new shiny stadium for our Las Vegas Raiders. Will we be able to watch them at all during the NFL season in Allegiant?
You know, I cannot guarantee that. That's going to be something that's going to be determined by the authorities at the time that the season starts, which I know is not too far off. It's really going to depend on the league, the player reps, and those who make a decision as to whether or not they can do that. I mean, hopefully we're all, cheering for the return of sports, but we've got to make sure it's done in a way that the players and the personnel are safe. And if you have spectators in the audience in the stadium, you've got to make sure that they're safe and protected from infection. But again, that's a decision that will be made locally.
And I know you and Dr. Deborah Birx and other infectious disease experts have been asking all Americans to wear masks these days. And I've had numerous conversations with people who don't believe that masks work. I want to make this very clear. We're wearing these masks to protect other people, to make sure that these droplets that we have don't infect others.
That is correct, but it also provides a degree of protection for yourself. It goes both ways. The major thing is to prevent you from infecting others, but we help each other. You wear your mask, I wear mine. There are 5 or 6 fundamental things that we can do to really turn around any surges of infection. You mentioned 1, proper wearing of masks. Number 2, avoid crowds. Number 3, keep physical distance, at least 6 feet or more. Number 4, avoid going to bars and places where people congregate. Number 5, outdoors always better than indoors. And number 6, hand hygiene, washing your hands. It is true, simple as it may seem, that those 6 things can really either turn around surges that are already occurring or prevent the surges that we've seen in some of the southern cities and states of late.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service to our nation. We owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you. We are moving forward with our scheduled election. And here in the state of Nevada, this hot topic ended up taking center stage in Carson City because they're expanding mail-in voting. Those in favor say it's to protect Nevada voters during the pandemic, citing what happened in Wisconsin when people went out to the polls. Those opposed to mail-in voting say that they are worried about fraud being involved. The bill now heads to the governor of our state for his signature. And by the way, our Secretary of State here in Nevada happens to be the lone Republican up in Carson City in office.
And she's the one who's saying that we saw no widespread fraud for our mail-in primary in the month of June. And a group of demonstrators protesting this bill outside the legislative building, holding up campaign signs, ones that urge state officials to vote against all mail-in voting. And the President of the United States doesn't like it either, giving his opinion on Twitter, calling it outrageous, and that it, quote, must be met with immediate litigation. This is his Twitter feed from over the weekend. He's concerned about widespread fraud from mail-in voting. However, if you want to vote in person, you'll still be able to do that in the month of November. But the Democrats in the state are concerned about having people stand in line or being in crowded polling places during the pandemic.
All right, week numero uno of the Las Vegas Raiders full training camp is in the books. The players have tested, they've passed, and finally entered that beautiful new HQ. Now, Saturday, I had the opportunity to guest host with E.J. Cutliffe's podcast called Black in Sports, where he had Raiders tight end Darren Waller in studio. D-Wall, and since he's my guy, that's what I call him now. He hit many topics, from his return back from drug use to being out of the league to his message to Raider Nation about this upcoming season.
We're preparing like we never have before because we know, I know what it's like to have the game taken from me, and to see right now this uncertainty, it's got guys on red alert, and knowing that, there's things in this world that can wipe out this game, and we just need to be grateful for it while we have it. And but we're gonna put a winner out there, that's guaranteed, and that's just what we're gonna do. Like, we're not settling for less. We're not gonna talk about anything less. We're gonna talk about winning. We're gonna talk about succeeding. We're gonna talk about soaring, and that's just that.
That's guaranteed. All right, more from that coming up tonight during Sports Night. Now, we're less than 24 hours away from Game 1 of the Golden Knights 3 round-robin games, the first against Dallas. Now, the news is out that VGK still no Max Pacioretty for Game 1, and Robin Leonard will man the pipes. Also, how pleased head coach Pete DeBoer is that they're playing round-robin games instead of trying to get into the playoffs.
Parity in the NHL is such. A difference between team number 12 and team number 24 is very tiny, and it's a matter of getting goaltending, or one of your special teams gets hot or cold with winning or losing every night, especially with no home ice advantage. So I knew these 3 out of 5s would be, literally dogfights right from day one.
And Game 4 for our Las Vegas Aces from the WNBA Wubble. I love that name. Now, entering the Aces had kind of rotated wins and losses, so with Friday's loss today, had to be a win, right? Yeah, they're taking on the Dallas Wings. I'm hungry right now. Who else is hungry? They came in 2-1 overall, but this was much better showing for the Aces. 2 people that kind of carried the day for the Aces. Asia Wilson looking like an MVP caliber player. Team high 19 points. She had 8 rebounds. Kayla McBride, not on fire from 3-point range, but you can see here she was in her bag getting buckets. 11 points for her. Lindsey Allen, fresh off the COVID-19 scare, was back. She chipped in with 11. The Aces win 79-7, pull their record to 2-2 on the season.